We're all so happy to gather the off-Broadway community and celebrate the history and the meaning and the importance of off-Broadway, and you are the people to celebrate it with, so I'm really glad you came.
We live, as Michael Sandel said, we have always had a market economy, but we are in danger of becoming a market society. All of them were devoted to the idea that there is art that creates a better society and that is made better when it is for the purpose of expressing ourselves and connecting us to each other, not for the purpose of simply selling as many tickets as possible.
When you don't have a lot, you put your money where it counts. And where it counts, it turns out, is people and words. And in the case of Into the Woods, music as well, which is also the case with some of the shows here tonight. And so that's where you put your value. And so this is a room in which the people and the words are the heart. And that's really the heart of theater. It's where theater comes from. It's where storytelling comes from. And so it means an enormous amount to us that we have been regarded to be in your company today.
This was an extraordinary production, starting with Stephen Adley Girgis, who sent me 20 pages about a year and a half ago. And I read the scene and I said, this is an amazing scene. We'll commit to it, but you have to finish it. And so 3 weeks before we started rehearsal, he did finish it. Stephen's a person who believes in process. He believes in off-Broadway. He believes in telling the truth. He believes in speaking on behalf of those people who aren't spoken on behalf of very often. He believes in America and he believes in redemption. So it's an honor and a privilege to receive this. Thank you so much for having us.
But the one I was acting with the most was Barbara Harris, who, as I'm sure a lot of you realize, is a great artist. And she's, among other things, a jazz artist. And the way, as an actress, I mean, and the way she would accommodate the different forms I found to fall apart on stage during the year, which were endlessly inventive. I mean, to just completely decompose, you know, was really, I learned more about acting from watching her struggling to deal with me.
It was the Circle and the Squares production of Iceman Cometh that led us to Jason Robards, who then led us to Long Day's Journey into Night. And that led us to O'Neill and to our being able to write 2 biographies of him and to keep studying him for the rest of our lives practically.
I want to leave here challenging us to figure out a way to keep coming together more and more. Judith would be happy about Fun Home in Hamilton. She would be really proud that that's happening, that there's this road, Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway, but it's just not enough. Theaters are closing still, and we've barely survived the economic recession. And we have to do a lot more together, and we have to take that responsibility very seriously because people like Judith did. And if it weren't for people like her, we wouldn't be here. So I'm sorry to end on a solemn note, but I know that Judith would want me to say that there is a lot of work left to do, and I really hope to do it all with you.
One of the joys of my life, unforgettable, to go into the theater. We were doing this play, we were never off stage. It was difficult, it was Albee. And I would go in and see her, and she'd light up my life, she'd light up my day, like she lit up the audience. I miss her, most terribly, because she represented a kind of light and a joy that nobody else has ever been able to give me. This is a great thrill for me to accept in her behalf, and she would be very grateful.
Robert Kalfin seized the moment when funding first became available to innovative arts groups to realize the dream of starting a new theater company. And the Chelsea Theater Center boldly produced some of the most challenging works of the modern theater for nearly 3 decades.
I want to express my gratitude to all those who keep that difference alive. Vive la différence, long may it wave. I thank you for this opportunity. and the honor.
How do we find people? How do we bring people to the theater? Well, you've got to bring the kids. I know in England they do. In England, kids have theater from the time they start in school. And here it's the same. You have to start people off understanding and knowing about theater if you want them to continue.
And it is that community, that vocabulary, that shared experience that I think makes theater what it is, and certainly was instrumental in making this production something truly stellar.
At the workshop, we like to think of all of our productions as unique theatrical events, so we are especially grateful to have someone label them as that and mean it in a good way.
We're so proud at Playbill to be able to support your endeavors in the way that we can. You are our breeding ground as well for great content on our site and in our books. We're just really, really blessed to be able to ride your coattails to greatness and to cover your stories. You guys are telling the stories of generations and history and really culture for a country and years and generations to come.